how to increase your spiritual ROI. ROI is return on investment. You are going to do this by looking at the spiritual systems you're already working within and conducting a spiritual audit. You're going to learn one really, really powerful tool to unlock this treasure trove of second level spiritual information that is available to you. Now, when we talk about investing in a spiritual system and getting more return on that investment, we're talking about de-risking the position. Now, when we talk about spiritual systems, what do we mean? Astrology, human design, Enneagram types, any of these belief systems that you're working within, they have all been maintained by a human or they would not be here. Now, what this means is that they've survived throughout human history. They've gone through all of these cultural shifts that have happened over the course of time. And for a teaching to survive in this way over thousands of years, it needs to adapt throughout the times so that it's applicable to the people who are using it and need it. Now, what this means is that there's quite a bit of risk in some of these systems, and the number one risk that you need to take note of as a student or an initiate is miscommunication. Now, miscommunication happens through a couple different ways of mistranslation, yes, we'll get to that in a second, but also in assumptions. So we just need to take note that these spiritual systems, that main risk that you are de-risking in this lesson is going to be around communication. Okay, so let's dive in. Your tool you're learning here in this workbook is etymology. Now, etymology is the study of the origin of the word. You're going to trace back the word through history, its different meanings, all the way back to its origin point over here. And now, when you do this, what you're going to see are different possibilities. Different possibilities. But this is your second responsibility as a student. The first one we talked about in the earlier workbooks. This is a 7-part series. Your first responsibility is truth and honesty. Go look at those workbooks. Here we're talking about your second responsibility of really digging in to what is being communicated to you. The teachings that are being taught to you, certain words are being used for a reason. If somebody channeled a teaching, their responsibility is to use the words that came through, not to change them to make them comfortable. So when you're working with these systems, as you step into these different astrology, Enneagram typing, whatever it is, whatever systems you're using, pay attention. Those places where you feel a little bit of irritation or disempowerment, this is where you want to lean in. Right? Spiritual teachings should be empowering. Final stance. Spiritual teachings should be empowering. If they're not, there's more work for you to do, and etymology is the tool that you're going to use to do that. All right, let's start us with a quote to get us oriented here. Whoever controls the definition of words controls the thoughts of the masses. George Orwell. Let's hear that again. Whoever controls the definition of words controls the thoughts of the masses. George Orwell. Okay, now I'm going to use a powerful example, but it might be a little confronting for some of you, but it's necessary because this example is going to show you the power of etymology. It's really easy to underestimate some of these simple tools that are available to us. So here we're going to start with none other than the master himself, Jesus. Now we're going to provide a little bit of context before I dive into the example. Jesus' mother spoke Syriac. That's an ancient Aramaic language, and this was his daily language. He also spoke Hebrew, and he read scriptures in the synagogue, and then during his lifetime, Greek was the language of the politics and the government. Now take a second to consider that some of the most popular, prolific teachings that we have, spiritual teachings that we have, were spoken in one language, written in another, and translated before they ever reached you. Just consider what words, what scriptures, what phrases do you use to help you navigate daily life? What are those sayings that you grab out of your back pocket when things get a little difficult? Right? So let's see this in action. I came across etymology a long, long time ago, but I uncovered the power of etymology a few years ago. I came across human design. If you're not familiar, you have a profile type. Each profile type has 2 numbers. Mine are 3 and 5. A 3 is a martyr, a 5 is a heretic. This is not something that I would desire to be. So the risk here for my investment into the human design system was signing up to be a martyr and a heretic and to identify with this profile type. Now, this is really important to understand. We reach for spiritual systems when we're looking to understand ourselves better and to know how to navigate life so that we can have more success with more ease. And what this means a lot of time when we're looking at these systems that have survived forever for answers, what can often happen is that we hand over our agency and assume that the system knows more about us than we do, right? This is your second risk point here. You're taking notes. So as we look at this example of stepping into human design, any system you are working with, my example is human design, during a time of need and getting handed a 3-5 definition of a martyr and a heretic when I'm already low on answers and struggling, we can see how this might be a little disempowering. Now, I struggled with this for a while. My teachers at the time, nobody explained to me how to use etymology to navigate this space. Right? That's why I'm bringing it forward. We don't need to struggle to this level. Let me save you some time here, all right? Etymology is the vindication of the spirit of language. It unearths the buried architecture of our thoughts. Ralph Waldo Emerson. So as we look at my example of martyr, stepping into this new spiritual system and wanting to really understand, how could I possibly be a 3-5? That's my human design? I don't know how to change. I can't change my design. I'm already here. But I just insisted. If I'm really a 3-5, then I am going to find out a way that this 3-5 is going to empower me. And here we are. So let's see. We all know the common usage of martyr. Martyr is somebody who dies for their beliefs. They sign up for a lot of suffering and struggle and really stand their ground on like what their morals and their ethics are, but so much so that they have to sacrifice everything about themselves. Right? That's kind of our modern definition that we're working with. And so when we step into understanding our own discernment and our new tool etymology that's available to us to unlock this treasure trove of second level knowledge in our spiritual teachings that are coming forward through these systems, human design in this example, what we can do is look at the evolution of the word martyr. Let's start with its Proto-Indo-European definition. So we have martu, M-R-T-U, to remember, to be mindful, to care. It was all about memory and remembering. It's related to the Sanskrit word samarati. Then in ancient Greek, we get martis. That's a legal witness, one who testifies to observed facts. It was all about a courtroom term. It didn't have any religious meaning. Then we step into early Christianity. Now remember that context I provided back in the beginning, all of this. You with me? You're with me. You guys are smart. Early Christianity. You get martis or martyrdom, witness who dies for belief. Testimony equals execution. This is about the mid-2nd century, and this is when the meaning of the word martyr took on a pretty extreme definition. Okay? And we got one more here to get us into modern time. That's Latin and modern English. We go from martyr to martyr complex. This is about a religious death, anyone dying for a cause, and then into a psychological disorder. In 1916, we get the martyr complex, which is about an exaggerated self-sacrifice. Look at this evolution of the word. It went from memory to witness to death to disorder. Now imagine if you had just taken martyr at face value with its common usage today and signed up for a martyr complex. how would my actions be different? How much struggle would I willingly sign up for through a profile of a martyr heretic? Okay? So I know this was a lot. Might be a little intense or confronting for some of you, but I did this on purpose. When we look at just this word martyr, remember to disorder. You can see the power in really utilizing etymology as you start to interface with these spiritual systems that have existed through years of human culture. Right? They had to. They had to adapt to the times that they were surviving. The teachings had to survive a certain way, and they did to the best of their ability. And they're still here for us. So our responsibility as students now is to become aware of this, and to use our new tool of etymology to really dig in and unlock that second level treasure trove of knowledge that is available to you. This is where AI is a really good tool. There's other places where you should not use it for your spiritual growth or your personal growth, but here it is a really good analytical tool. So I put some prompts into the workbook that you could use to work with etymology, with whatever systems, profiles, or archetypes that might be giving you a little bit of irritation and you'd rather not have that profile definition assigned to you. Jump in, use those AI prompts, and start unlocking that older knowledge that is going to be really empowering to you. All right, let me scan through, make sure I didn't miss anything. Sweet. Okay, this is a 7-part series. My name's Lindsay. I was an engineer for 15 years. I take all of that skill set and I apply it to 20 years of spirituality. But specifically for language, I'm a Gemini. And Geminis love wordplay. It's just where we're happy. It's a natural kind of unconscious ability that Geminis seem to have. So that's why I love language, and that's why I'm able to teach it to you. This was one way of working with language and words as far as finding and uncovering their power. There's other ways of diving into language that I've explored. You could go explore these on your own, but that would be Sanskrit, Mayan, and Korean. Now, Korean language has a really cool origin story. And I did write a blog about that if you want to check it out. But just to give you a taste, right? You are just in the beginning stages of really learning how to work and navigate through these systems to unlock all of this knowledge. Why do we want knowledge? Why are we investing in this knowledge? What's the return on investment? It's the wisdom that allows you to navigate your life differently for more success with more ease. That's the real return on investment here. And in order to get that in order to maximize that return on investment, we need to de-risk these other situations that you're going to come into, not conflict with, but that you're going to come across along your journey. All right? So the deeper discussion here, you saw how I did this with human design. You can do this with the Enneagram types. You can do this with the astrology archetypes. Any kind of system that has this typing, organized structure to it. If they're trying to put you into a category, see if there's not more knowledge there for you with etymology. To close this one down, we'll do one more quote here. We think we choose our words, but often our words choose our thoughts through their hidden histories. Manly P. Hall. Okay? I'm honored you're here. That was etymology. In the next workbook, we're going to talk about karmic debt and how to pay only what you owe. Until then, go de-risk your investments in your spiritual practices by utilizing this tool of etymology so that you can increase your spiritual ROI. I am honored that you are here, and I can't wait to see what this tool does for you. And I will see you next week as we dig into karmic debt and how to pay only what you owe. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next one.